Welcome back to the Upper Tier Podcast, the football podcast we bring you each and every week on the Dynamo Podcast Network. This is your Premier League wrap-up show that we call The Good, The Bad and The Ugly, where we dissect down all the weekend's action and let you know what we thought was good, bad and ugly. Let's start off with the good, as we always do. Nowhere else to start but Stamford Bridge. Man City, absolutely outstanding against Chelsea. Pep getting it right at the fourth attempt against Tuchel. Tuchel definitely getting it wrong. Set up very defensively, but City took advantage, could have scored a number of goals and ran out winners well. Um, Not a good sign for Chelsea. Putting it down to only a blip, I would imagine. Tuchel's been outstanding there for Chelsea, but on this occasion got it wrong. Let's move on. West Ham. What an absolute baller of a winner of a goal from Mikel Antonio. Um, don't know what we can say about this. Moyes doing a fantastic job at West Ham, but good Lord, Leeds, when are they going to learn that defending in this league is your bread and butter? Very, very strange. Brentford, evening kickoff against Liverpool. Obviously, Liverpool, after seeing the results from earlier on in the day, would have been buoyed up by this to go 3 points clear at the top of the table, but failed to take advantage. Brentford, full value for their money for the draw, and probably will be disappointed not to have gotten all 3 points. You'll probably say the same for Liverpool, squandered a number of chances as well, but looks very frail at the back, especially heading into a big week now, away to Porto and then a home to Man City and Anfield at the weekend before the break. It's going to be a big week for Klopp and the boys. He's going to have to lift them up big time, but hats off to Thomas Frank and Brentford. Outstanding job there at the weekend. He's doing crowd, stadium, everything, absolutely all good for Brentford at the moment. Brilliant stuff. Let's move on. Aston Villa, outstanding against United. At parts I was looking at this game and I was wondering who was the home team. At one stage I thought this was in Villa Park. United just so poor. Ollie's so naive. And Villa ran out worthy champions. I think could have scored a few. I think with United, I think Ollie still has a lot of work to do. I think his naivety in game is kind of strange. It comes to the forefront again. I think if Bruno had scored that penalty, I think it would have been an injustice to how Villa played. And I think in the end, putting it over the bar, I thought was justice for the game. So good win for Villa. Let's talk about Arsenal. And we've talked about Arsenal a lot on these shows on the upper tier, about how poor they've been, how in trouble they've been. We've nearly slagged off Arteta and Edu for having a plan. But certainly yesterday in the North London derby, that plan came together. Edu did say, let's see when all our players are back together. And boy, oh boy, when all the players came back together, did they deliver. What an outstanding performance. Partey controlling the midfield with Xhaka. Smith Rowe, outstanding in his running. Saka, brilliant at tearing them apart. Aubameyang, what a finish and what a leader yesterday on the pitch. But even Ben White, Ramsdale, go through them all. Tomiyasu, what a signing there at right back. Tomiyasu, absolutely murdering son all game. I just thought all round, I thought it was a brilliant performance by Arsenal. But the caveat to that is that's the performance that they need to deliver now week in, week out. They don't have European football, so there can be no excuses. And up next is a tricky fixture against Graham Potter's Brighton. So will they be able to deliver in that game? It's one thing getting up for a North London derby. It's another thing continuing that form throughout the Premier League. And what we've seen with Arsenal in days gone by is that they put in an amazing performance when they're in the North London derby or some of the bigger games. And then the games preceding that are the games that let them down. They fall apart against these other lesser teams. So let's see how they get on against Brighton. But outstanding performance. To be honest, there was 9s and 10s all over the pitch yesterday. Everyone wanted it. Odegaard, unbelievable. Tierney, unbelievable. Ben White, Gabriel, all unbelievable. We could name the whole team really at this stage. But as a team yesterday, and in terms of encouraging each other and the bonding in that team and all that, and I'm sure you Gunner fans out there, you would have been thinking Xhaka back in the team, what the hell is Arteta doing? Xhaka was outstanding yesterday, and he showed why he deserves to be in that team. So now it's time for you guys to push on and push up the table and deliver more performances similar to that. So outstanding. Let's get into the bad. Kind of a little bit of overlap this week, obviously. Chelsea lands in here, made look very ordinary by City. And I don't know whether it was City's brilliance or whether it was Tuchel's undoing of himself. But he set up very defensively against City, and paid the price for it. Jorginho, anonymous. Kante, anonymous. Grealish was outstanding, absolutely tore them asunder. They had a number of opportunities, City, to score. Took their goal in the end very well. But I just think with Chelsea, I just think they had nothing to offer up City on this day. And sometimes you get days like that at the office, but that was a big one. It was an opportunity for Chelsea to create a 6-point gap between themselves and City. They failed and lost that opportunity. So very disappointing. I'm sure the Chelsea faithful, they won't be happy with the way they were set up at the bridge against City, where they'd be more inclined to want to go for it. And we move on then. So that's it. Leicester. What can we say about Leicester? I mean, their dip in form is unbelievable. They've had a very bad start to the season. Rodgers under pressure there, trying to bed in a few players. I'm absolutely blessed not to lose all the points. Chris Wood with a fantastic goal at the end, just unlucky to be caught offside. But Leicester just look all over the place at the moment. Very, very, very strange, you know. So yeah, I dropped them in there in the bad as well. Let's get into the ugly, and there's a decent list in the ugly this week. Let's start now, Les, with Leeds. Very, very poor. I mean, just when are they going to learn about defending? When are they going to stop going gun-ho? That sometimes it's time to shut up shop, take whatever you have and roll with it. And they just opened themselves wide up and just got totally exposed. West Ham on the break. One of the best goals you'll see on the break, I think. Mikel Antonio, absolutely outstanding. You know, and you know, for Moyes to have them playing that way, that they never give up and they go for the 3 points, but more in a controlled way, not like Leeds where it's gung ho. And I just think Bielsa needs to figure that out really, really quick, or Leeds are going to find themselves not only in trouble, but if they're not very careful, they're going to be out of this division very quick if they don't get their act together. Liverpool. I dropped Liverpool into the ugly here this week because I think it was an opportunity missed, although Brentford were brilliant on the day. I think we missed the opportunity to extend our lead on the table to 3 points. I think we could have, and I think a lot of it stems down to some of the in-game management by Klopp. We talk about a little bit of this with Solskjaer, some of that naivety, but I think really in the game, I think when Curtis got that goal, I think he could have left him on for another 5 minutes. He was well pumped up for the game after getting that goal. To whip him off after that, I thought was a bit of an injustice to the kid, really, you know. Also, I think when we went 3-2 up, I think it was time to bring on another defender and maybe go 5 at the back and short it up a bit of game management, instead of continuing on looking for more, if you like. I think we could have done a better job there. So, again, a little bit of naivety. I think it's 2 points dropped, although we'll be happy somewhat with the point that we took away when you look at the goal that Ivan Toney got near the end and stuff like that. Very lucky to be offside, but what a finish and stuff like that, and what a player he is. And, you know, hats off to Brentford and Thomas Frank and all their players. Absolutely outstanding. Gave Liverpool no respect. And Liverpool showed up, thought it was another day at the office, and, you know, Salah missed chances, Jota missed chances, and we did say that those chances will come back at some stage to haunt us, and that was one of those games where it did. We really should have taken the 3 points there, and in the end, it was a flip-flop kind of game. We were lucky in the end to leave with a point. Let's get on to United. Man United. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I mean, his naivety. I mean, you have a cup game there during the week where you go to Carabao Cup, but the shining lights, you know, Donny van de Beek was a shining light in that game. Can't get a sniff of a game in the league. Can't understand it. So puzzling. Sticks with McTominay and Fred. Cannot understand that. And I honestly think if he continues down this road of selecting McTominay and Fred and, you know, overlooking these other players that are somewhat in form or have something different to offer, I think he's going to find himself out of a job. I think you have a fan base already turning on him a little bit. That's 3 losses out of 4. So it's not good form either. And he's coming into a tough game midweek now against Villarreal, where he really needs to pick up points because obviously the loss to Young Boys, you know, wouldn't go down well now if they were to drop points to Villarreal as well. They'd be struggling then in the Champions League after 2 bad results potentially. But I think he just needs to figure out what he wants in midfield, and you know what I mean. There's other options there that could be used. You know, you've Sancho on the bench, 73 million. You've Donny van de Beek not being used. Just weird, Jesse Lingard being used, but yet, it's very clear that they didn't want him. And then Bruno gets the opportunity against Villa. Villa looked like the home team this day. They could have scored more. Looked very comfortable, very composed. Bruno gets the opportunity right at the death for the penalty, and puts the penalty into orbit. I think it's at the International Space Station at this stage. But Ronaldo probably standing there absolutely seething about that. You know what I mean? That's another thing that's going to have to be resolved. Is it Bruno or is it Ronaldo for the penalties? Interesting conundrum there for Ollie. Let's move on. Also in the ugly this week, Norwich again. What do we say about Norwich? Absolutely dead and buried. 6 games into the league. Absolutely dead and buried. September. Game over. These guys are going down. And the Canary faithful, are they going to hold? Are they going to be loyal to Daniel Farke? Looks like he's really struggling. They've sold off a number of players. They didn't really replace them. And they're going to really struggle this season, week in, week out. So we would fear for Norwich. 6 games in. It's hard to call it this early. But God, they look awful at the moment. And of course, we have to finish out the ugly with who else? Spurs. Showed up yesterday, North London derby. Absolutely horrible. Kane looks like he doesn't want to be there. Just poor play. Got steamrolled by Arsenal. Had nothing to offer. Son with a couple of half chances. What do you say about this? You know what I mean? Nuno and Arteta trading places. If you think about it, if you go back 3 weeks ago, Nuno top of the league, maximum points, 3 wins out of 3. Arteta bottom of the league, 0 points from 3. What a difference 3 weeks makes. 3 weeks ago, we wouldn't have been talking about Nuno's job on the line. We would have been talking about Arteta 1 leg out the door. How different has that? Arsenal after going above Tottenham now in the league, which will upset the Spurs faithful big time and make the Gunners faithful very, very happy that they're pushing up the league. But you'd worry about Nuno at the moment now, leaving Romero out, his signing. And I think Spurs have a long road ahead of them at the moment. This could be a very difficult season for Tottenham Hotspur until Nuno figures out exactly what he wants. But I think Kane at the moment in the team, I think they were playing much better football when Kane wasn't in the team. And I think with Kane in the team puts a lot of pressure on those players to play through Kane when they normally wouldn't need to if he's not there. And they're just going to have to sort out this Kane situation. I mean, you could argue over the last 3 weeks he should be dropped. But is Nuno going to have the management experience and the ability to do that? Who knows? But if he doesn't, it could cost him his job. Anyway, folks, if you want to contact the show, we're on the upper tier. We're on Facebook and Instagram. You'll get us on Twitter at _upper_tier. Of course, video versions of the show are always available on the Dynamo Podcast Network. This has been your good, the bad, and the ugly show, where we dissect down the Premier League's action. Leave your comments down in the video, and as always, drop a like, share, and subscribe on all the content that's up there. Till next week, cheers.